Hello everyone, welcome to today's video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the motor, so the main deck motor on my Aiwa AD6500. Let's get stuck in. So in the last session I identified that there may be a possible problem with the motor, and given that it's nearly 15 years old, that is very likely. I mean, it still spins kind of freely, but it's not as free as I remember it being, so when you spin it, it should continue spinning for a while. So I'm wondering if it has, because these are ball raced motors, so in other words they have ball bearings inside on either end of the shaft. I'm wondering if those bearings have dried out a little bit. However, we're not going to be able to find that out unless we take the motor out and examine it more closely. So we got 2 points where solder has been applied. We have this one, which is our positive, and we have this one, which is our negative. Now, as with all good practice, I am going to take a photo of said motor. So just use the camera. And there we go. Also, that makes a really cool thumbnail, so I'll just hold that there, and I hope that when I upload this to YouTube, it auto detects that as a thumbnail. Anyway, that's the photo taken. Now the motor itself is held in from underneath with 1, 2, 3 screws, so we'll need to access it from underneath the unit itself. And actually looking at it, I may need to, actually I might be able to access it. There's a hole there which I may be able to access, put a screwdriver through without having to move this whole assembly. So let's get this unsoldered and then we can start working on it on the bench itself. So let's get started and let's unsolder this positive one first. Oh, that's nice. That just literally comes off. That's good. Now there's actually 3 cables on here, which is interesting. So there's 1. There's 2. Oh, and also 3. So that's all of those off and out of the way, and that was rather quick. So that's the motor desoldered, and in fact what I can do is the positive supply for the motor is this one. I can grab my multimeter again, and we can actually measure the voltage without the motor in play. So we'll just pop that there. We don't need the soldering iron anymore, so I'll just unplug that and we'll just plug the cassette deck in. And what I'll do is I'll just very gently put that into there just to keep that out of the way. I don't want to touch this with my finger because I don't want to blow the fuse. What I should hopefully see if I touch that onto there is live voltage. There you go. So that, without the motor attached, gives you 16 volts, which is exactly what I thought it would give you. So the motor is actually drawing quite a lot of voltage if it's dropping it down to 7 volts and not really doing very much. Right, let's zoom out again and let's flip this upright and let's have a look. So here's our screws here for the motor, and they are crossheads, so we should be able to get into there like so. So here's one. Now this is unplugged, so don't worry, these are just going to drop anywhere. Because what I'll do, just to make it a bit safer, is I'll grab the long nose pliers and pull those out. So these are actually quite different to the other ones that we've used or removed. They're a little bit longer. They have a lock-in washer and a flat washer. And let's see if we can get to this other one, because this one's at a slight angle now. It would be easier with it removed, or rather with the deck raised up, but let's see what we can do with it in place. Oops. So there's another one. I'm wondering if someone's been in here before, because that was very loose. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody, not me, has been in here previously to this motor, because these are nowhere near as tight as I thought they would be. So that seems that probably within the last 40 odd years somebody has been in here, or 48 odd years rather. There we go. And I'll go around to the motor itself. There you go, there's the motor. So that was very easy to remove. So if I spin this, you see what I mean? It just doesn't seem quite as free moving as I would hope. So what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to see if we can get this top cap off. So we'll move this out the way. We'll take the screws that came from it, and we'll put those screws into our little screw bag. So that we have those, we don't lose them. So there's our 3 screws. They are now sealed away in the little bag. So let's have a look at this itself. So what I'm going to see first is if this just prizes up. So there's a little screw there, which we'll undo. There we go. And what we can see now, so this is obviously soldered onto there. So I've got a feeling I might need to unsolder that. Let's see if it unscrews, as it looks like it's got a screw into it. Let's see if this lifts up, because this might just lift out the way without having to do anything with it. Let's play it safe and let's unsolder that. So we'll just plug the soldering iron back in. There we go, it took a little while, but I've managed to separate it, and there you go, that comes up. That leaves whatever that is, which looks like some kind of top cap with the circuit board. So, oh, I see, so that whole arrangement comes out like that. Oh, that's interesting. Then you've got this rubbery seal thing. So that's just an outer case for the motor, and then inside you've got the actual motor and the control circuitry. So that's that little speed control that I was looking at yesterday, and then obviously underneath here you've got the actual gubbins of the motor itself, which is quite cool. That board doesn't actually look too bad. I can't see from a cursory inspection any cracked solder joints or dry joints. It certainly doesn't look frazzled in any way. So I'll just unscrew these 3 screws, and I've got a feeling that will probably release the whole lot. Now, let's keep these kind of in one place. So I had one of these just now, and I've got a feeling I may have lost it. I'll find it in a minute. It's fine. Anyway, so got these 3 unscrewed. That, oh look at that, yeah, that allows us to remove the base of the motor, and then you've got the actual motor itself in there, which is rather cool. And this is held in with a tiny flat blade. Let's see if I have something small enough to release that. I might do, although the problem with this is this seems to have happened. Let's see if this one will do it. Nope, that's not a flat blade. Let's see if this one will do it. So, tiny little flat blade, holding the motor spindle in place. That comes off, that comes out, and there you go. And there you go, one dismantled motor. So what I need to do now is a little bit of cleaning up of various things. There's that other screw there, so we'll just put that there. So we're going to clean up we're going to put a little bit of oil onto these bearings. So here and here. We're going to clean up the commutator, which is here. I think that's the commutator. Those are the brushes there. We'll check those out as well. And we'll then see where we are after that. So let's grab myself a little bit of oil and see what we're doing. So oil wise I need a minuscule amount, and I'm going to apply some of that, whoops, directly into here, onto that. And we'll just leave that there to soak. I'm going to do the same with this one. But with this one I'm just going to turn it on its side slightly to do that, because I don't want to get too much of this onto the circuit board itself. So that's way more than I actually wanted, but anyway, we'll put that upside down like that. And what we'll do now, so let's leave that there. With this, I'm going to get a small bit of wet and dry, just to give that a clean. And I'm going to use a fairly smooth polishing grade. So I'm going to use a bit of this 1200 grade. And all I'm going to do is just run this over like so. And just remove any imperfections, but keep the actual armature moving so that you don't create any flat spots, which may affect the overall running of the motor. So we'll just do this like so. There we go. There we are, that looks better. And we'll also do these bits as well, just so they're looking all nice and shiny. There we go, coming up. There we go. Right. That looks better. So what we'll do is, this has been just sat draining slightly. So we'll just put this back in here. We're going to put this back onto the top of it as well. What I'll actually do is I'll just give this a little spritz with some contact cleaner. There we go. So just doing that off camera. Ugh. Just blow that into my face. There we go. Now to put it back on, what I'm doing is I'm putting the bottom of the spindle in like so, so it goes in between those brushes. Then it should sit in like so, like that. And then we can screw that back into place. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm taking it off camera to do it because it's a little bit easier. So I can do it like this with it in camera, in shot. It's fiddly. I will warn you that it's very fiddly. Ideally you need much smaller fingers than mine. And have something to catch the screws on, because this will take a few attempts to get right. Let's try a different one to start with. Alright, one. There's two. I think. Almost. Come on, you know you want to. There we are, there's two. Three. Very, 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 very fiddly. There we are, there's three. This can go back on. There we go. That does not feel any smoother at all, actually. The other thing we can look at is this little electrolytic here. There's also a tiny little controller chip on there as well. But that is that. Right. What I will do is I could apply a bit of lube to that top part, so I'll just do that. Alright, so that's just a little bit of extra lubrication on the top of the bearing assembly. Oops. Now, it'd be interesting to see if this is any better. So let's pop this back into here. So that goes in like so. Not forgetting, you need this. So this goes on over like so. That's like your sort of gasket that seats it in place. That goes in to here. The gasket should push down with the rest of the assembly. Easier said than done, but done, I think. Just take that out and just double check it again. It might be worth fitting the gasket first. So push that down to the bottom. Fit this so that you get the circuit board. So that has to squeeze through there. There you go. And there you are. Makes that sort of satisfying weird rubbery squelch noise, which means it's in place. Then you've got a single screw and the top cap. Now this actually hooks in here, so there's like a little place where you can hook it in. Up there. And then that comes down like so. And then you've got that, which needs to be soldered back onto that terminal. So I'll just take this and screw that back into place. I've just actually remembered something before that goes down. You need this. Don't forget this, because if you do, you short the motor. So that rubber boot needs to go on top of the motor itself, the circuit board, and that goes over like so, and that tucks away there. That goes back into there, and then that should tuck in like so, and then that's all of the, let me shift that over, that's all of the circuit terminal points out of the way. Actually, I'll just check under this little cover here, make sure we've still got access to that little screw adjuster. I just need to bring that up again. There's only one way that it can go on, but it is a good idea just to check anyway. Yeah, there's our screw adjuster underneath there, so that can go back on, and that can go over, and there you go, and just like so. Now you get your top cap. Top cap goes into there, like so. Don't worry, that's just a bit of plastic on the back of the top cap itself. So that's like your final shield, effectively. That squeezes into there. And then you put your screw in. So there should be a tiny little screw. And that is there, that goes into there. So let's just screw that back into place. There you go. Feels a bit freer, if I'm going to be totally honest. Doesn't feel as bound up as it was. So what we'll do now is we'll solder this back onto there. So we'll just need a bit of solder, just dab that back into place. I think I've got some, there we go. So a little bit of solder just to dab that back into place. Sorry, just do that again. There you go. And now I'm going to pop some temporary fly leads onto it, because what I want to do is connect it up to my 12-volt supply and start it running with 6 volts and then gradually ramp it up to 12. So effectively I'm just bedding the motor in, so to speak. So I'll put that to the background for a second and we'll get a couple of leads to put onto there. Done. There we go. Right, so now we can unplug the iron. Let's put that like that. Let's take this, which is currently on 6 volts. So we're going to put positive onto positive. Negative onto negative. Actually just shove it in there, to be honest with you. That'd probably be better than having it arc out on the side of the case. There you go, and there you go. Right, let's plug this in. And let's turn it on. So the motor is spinning, that's always a good sign. And let's see how much voltage that's taking. So that's spinning at the moment quite happily. So, oops, other way round. Negative and positive. So that's taking 5.93 volts at the moment. Let's fire this up to 9 volts. It's definitely a higher level of torque on it as well. So there. And there, that is now consuming. Let's do that again. That's 7.5, up to 12. That's taken 11 volts. So that's actually taking, oh hang on a minute, stop spinning. It might be because I was jiggling it about a bit, so it may have lost contact. So that is taking .83, that's almost bang on 12 actually. Yeah, that's why, it's just coming out of there. Let's bodge it in again. Yeah, still a bit sticky. That might be why it needs the 16 volts, because that's what actually triggers it to go. Yeah, there's a lot more torque on that as well. You can eventually get it to stop, but it's quite a bit more torque on that. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to leave that to run for about 15 minutes or so. And really that's just to get any of the lubricant in there circulated around the bearings and just get it to really sort of just bed itself back in after the repairs that I've conducted. And then next time I'm going to refit it to the deck and see if it's made any difference. If it hasn't, then I'll need a replacement motor. But until then, that is it for today. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Thanks for watching.